Alright everyone, and we're back.
悪いな。いろいろ期待させたみたいで。けど俺、こういうの買わないんだ。
It's a waste of money, and besides, I could get it from work for free if I really wanted any. However, that last part is top secret, so I better leave it at that. Whether it's because Tosaka's embarrassed at leaping to the wrong conclusion or something else, the hand holding Shinji's prized books begins quivering.
あんたなんでシンジのコレクションなんか拝ませるのよ
She flies into an extremely self-righteous rage.
なんだよ。勝手に探したのはそっちじゃんか。俺は悪くないぞ、俺は。
うるさい。魔術師は皆世界にある秘された真実の探求の徒よ。
That's so unreasonable, I don't even know where to begin. And even if it were true, a seeker of truth like Tosaka should be prepared to deal with the occasional friendly fire like this.
リン、これは私が賭けに勝ったということでよろしいのですか？
でもシロは現に持ってたじゃないの。
ですが、それは魔頭真治の所有物であり、シロの持ち物というわけではありません。江戸前屋のどら焼き、おごっていただきます。
No longer leaving room for a negative answer, Saber presses on. And not simply because food is involved, it appears.
わかったわよ。今から買ってくる。まったく、あんなもの見せられたから気分転換に行かないともう。
Tosaka takes her leave, grumbling under her breath all the way out the door. The heavy atmosphere of the room lightens like the calm after a typhoon. If hypothetically, and I want to stress that this is only hypothetically, that had really been a pick of my own, then I'd have already met with a fate worse than death by now. Had it been my real secret treasure hidden even deeper that had been discovered, I could only hope to get off as lightly as I did this time. Oh, he has a secret treasure after all.
紙一重の差だったか。ありがとう、シンジ。
Oh man, I never would have guessed from Shiro.
安堵しました。やはりシロは清廉潔白で高潔なマスターです。
That's gotta cut a little bit, huh?
ね。ああ、いや、これからは誤解を招くような真似は避けるから。
ですがシロは金髪はいえ、何でもありません。
I like that. I get the feeling that I'd better not ask. Letting this conversation continue could well lead to discovery of the second Pandora's box below.
そろそろ3時だよな。そういえば、今に行って遠坂を待っていよう。お茶の用意をして賭けの報酬を受け取らないと。
そうですね。私たちの完全勝利です。
More so for Shiro, but yeah. A blissful smile lights up Saber's face. Gah, sorry Saber. It's not a victory for us so much as it is a victory for me. That's true. So Shiro has a hidden stack of private treasures. Or one treasure. Regardless, yeah, something. Oh, we don't have any more. Call it a day. You have already seen this scene skip, yeah. The void. I want to help you, the woman said. She was sincere. The frankness of her confession, unclouded by any trace of impure emotion, brought tears pouring from her eyes as she spoke the words, I wish to free you from your suffering. Which made me feel nothing but pessimism. I felt neither joy nor gratitude that she had come to save me. That kindness of hers was misdirected, and nothing but an annoyance to me. It wasn't enough to make me despise her, but honestly, I wanted her to run along home to her own world instead. This isn't to say that I hated the woman, but the very principles that guide her actions were wrong. She should have known as well as I did that she wasn't going to save anyone. She should have known from the start that it was impossible for her to save me. I responded in a voice you couldn't exactly call a voice. With your throat crushed, it's impossible to make a sound, so I tried shaking my head until I remembered that I couldn't do that either. Eventually, she gave up and went back above ground. She kept up the contest of endurance for days until gradually she came to realize she was talking to herself. The one her words were addressed to was just a corpse. That's something that happened, apparently. These events I hadn't committed to memory in the first place are now surfacing in my mind because of the similar emotions not being directed towards me. Doubt and mercy. That woman who tries to be so fastidious is holding some sort of ridiculous feeling of obligation towards me, even though she doesn't have a shred of proof as to why she should. Bazette Fraga Rakremitz. That woman who has become Avenger's master now harbors the same misdirected emotions for me as the woman from back then. My heart thundering at the speed of 500% over its usual rate, I barely propel my exhausted body towards the ruins. My throat is burning. The way my right leg's aching after I pushed it to the limits of my endurance and beyond. It comes as no surprise to hear that I busted it. Having used up all the dregs of my magical energy I received from Bazette, my own reserves of strength are starting to come up dry too. Basically, you can see I'm giving up. I can't move another step and I'm tempted to just quit now, consequences be. Damn.
何をしている。ここまで走りなさい、アベンジャー。
Bazette, who reached the ruins one step ahead of me, comes back outside and shouts at me. Grasping for purchase with both hands, I fling myself into the building with all the dignity of a fleeing puppy. The door slams close behind me. Of course, some little door isn't worth a fart as far as the defense goes, considering the monster that's after us. Having that barrier at least gives us the illusion of security, though. Oh, you're fine, Berserker. I can hear a roar. That must be a big we've got on our tail, destroying everything in his path as he pursues us through the forest. Running away to a ruin like this won't save us. Once he catches up, he'll crush the whole place to powder, and both of us along with it. That thing is like a fierce gale. No matter what kind of weapon one is armed with, it's plain to see that no human could cross swords with that and live. You should see Shiro then. In a clearing in the forest, we ran into that monster. No, it should be better to say that it was waiting there for us. Though set there like a monolith carved out of stone, the second we set foot into this territory, it lets out a roar as it came after us. The battle was over in 1 second. I never had any great desire to pick a fight with that thing in the first place, but after the first shot, even Bazette realized that we couldn't fight it, let alone win. Bazette's not one to back down from a fight, but even Fagorak failed to score a kill, she wisely and graciously gave the order to retreat. Still, you gotta hand it to her. To be able to fight even for a few seconds facing the source of that hellish roar took some serious guts. She recovered in no time and fired off a Fagorak, while that huge monster's war cry still had me nearly pissing myself. The noble phantasm seems to be the type that's always on because Fagorak's activated right away. Her aim was true and her shot struck right in its heart, bringing the fat ass down once and for all. Or at least that's what should have happened. Instead, it had completely revived 10 seconds later and kept charging straight for us. Back from the brink of death in perfect health. In other words, a body that knows no death. That's the big noble phantasm. After she wasted her Fagorak on it, Bazette's whole body went rigid. And with her frozen there, as the monstrous thing came bearing down on her, I personally think it was awfully nice of me to give her a little push out of harm's way via a flying kick to the side. The pain, it felt like he barely grazed me, but that was enough to send me flying too. The big guy's sights are now set on me, standing right in its path, and I look up to see an axe the size of a Grecian pillar raised over my head. To even think about eating a hit from that would be crazy, and my chances of slipping by unharmed were stupendously low. So then, when things are at their darkest, just as I was thinking that, this must be what they call instant death. Who should come to my rescue but the very same Bazette I just kicked away from that huge thing? She leveled her second Fagorak at its face and fired, striking it right between the eyes.
今のうちに逃げます。ついてきなさい。
Seems like she fired her second Frog not to kill but to try and blind it. But even a huge hole in its face didn't stop that monster or the axe it held. So that's when Bazette grabbed me by the hand and made a break for the forest. Throwing up the gloves that Frog had burned as she ran, Bazette laid a rune into both legs to let her run faster. Me being the compulsive thief and hoarder that I am, I pick up her trash.
グツグツしない。距離を取るから走りなさい。
And teasing me by the scruff of my neck, Bazette took off running. Seeing as how she's in top physical shape to start with, the blessing of the runes on top of that allowed her to leave that huge monster behind before you could blink. But even that only gave us a few seconds head start. Before its eyes even finished healing, it was hot on our trail, as surely as though it were tracking us by scent. With no head though, yet.
とまあ、そんな経緯で今に至るわけだけど、なんだね、ここに逃げ込んだところであと数分持たずに追いつかれ殺されるってのが結論だ。あれだけ危ないからよそうぜって言ったのにさ、人の言うこと聞かないからこんな目に遭うんだぜ。そのあたり反論あるか、マスター？
敵の戦力を若干甘く見ていたのは認めます。確かにあんなサーバントがいるとは予想外でした。
Bazette's response sounds a little weak, maybe like she's regretting it. Compared to her near total silence from the time we entered the forest till now though, this is a veritable world of difference. That's good, makes it easier on me too. But first things first.
いや、ありゃサーバントじゃねえよ。この森に住むただの怪物だ。サーバントになり損なった亡霊みたいなものだと思いな。
何を言うのです。あれはサーバントだ。この時代の亡霊などではない。宝具も持っていたし、間違いなくアインツベルンのサーバントでしょう。
まあ位置づけ的にはそうなるのか。そっかそっか。競争相手であろうとなかろうと、サーバントはサーバントだったな。
By all rights, trying to figure out what class of servant that monster is would be a waste of time. What we need to focus on right now, rather than trying to figure out what the hell that thing is to figure out what the hell we should do about it. Ain't a thing we can do about that big. So for now, let's figure out what we're gonna do with ourselves.
で、どうするマスター？このままおとなしく殺されてやり直すか？それともあのサーバントのマスターを探し出すか？
I find it funny they can't tell that's a berserker class type of warrior servant.
無論アインツベルンのマスターを探し出します。あのサーバントの周囲にはそれらしい気配はありませんでしたから、アインツベルンの城に潜んでいるのでしょう。
城に潜んでるってのは同感だな。けど城に行くってことはあのデカブツをどうにかするってことだぜ。逃げるのか戦うのか。あんたはどうするつもりなんだ？
アベンジャー、正直に言うと私は敵に背を向けるのは苦手です。戦いを挑まれたのなら力を持って打ち破るのが私のスタイルだ。
知ってるよ。これでも長く付き合ってきた方だからな。あんたはいつもカツカツで嫌がる俺を平気で負け戦に投入したじゃんか。
それはあなたの能力がループだと誤解していたからです。あなたがもう少しノーマルなサーバントなら私とて無理強いなどしませんでした。
どうだかな。で、今回もやるわけ？どのみちあのデカブツをどうにかしないと城にはたどり着けないんだから。
いいえ、私もそこまで無謀ではありません。今までの戦いは勝算があったからこそ通したことです。ですがあの相手には勝算はありません。私とあなたでは相性が悪すぎる。
I let out a whistle. Just as Bazette said, we are a real bad match against that ginormous thing. My noble phantasm's just no good against it. Up against him, I couldn't survive so much a single blow. The first strike would be fatal, so if one hit equals death, I can't turn the curse back on him. On the other hand, we could have Bazette counterattack with Fragorak, but she can only use it 3 times. It's crystal clear now that the monster's noble phantasm allows it to rise from the dead. We don't know yet how many times it's good for, but it likely outnumbers the use of Fragorak we've got.
それじゃあ戦うってのはなしだな。じゃああとは
追跡を振り切って城を目指すだけでしょう。こちらも目は低いですが、ゼロというわけではありませんから。
She's right about that much. But there's still something pretty big that Bazette's overlooking. That monster ain't something you can just ignore. To make it to the castle, we gotta take care of our new buddy somehow.
決まりだな。俺はここに残ってあのデカブツを引きつけて、あんたは一人で城に向かう。オーケー、それなら半々だ。あんたの足ならコースアウトでもしない限りきっと城にたどり着ける。ここからアインツベルンの城は北西に15キロほどだ。ルーンを刻む悲壮は残ってるか？残ってるな。なら問題なしだ。俺が稼げるのはせいぜい1分程度だが、あんた一人だけならそれを10倍にできる。
アベンジャー、私はそんなことは命令していません。私はあなたと城に向かいます。
無茶言うな。そっちの方が俺にはきつい。正直あんたの足にはついていけねえんだよ。ここまで逃げてくるのが限界でさ。こっちから先俺の足に合わせてたら間違いなく追いつかれるぜ。
それはあなたの精神が弱いからです。気合を入れなさい。その気になればまだ走れるはずだ。あなたはいつも諦めが早すぎる。
She really hit me where it hurts. Bazette's quite gutsy lady.
そりゃあまあ意地を張れば少しは働けるけど、それでもあんたのスピードについていけないのは本当なんだが。
まったく。なら戦力として考えません。いざとなれば霊体化して私についてきなさい。
Well, ain't that clear-headed opinion. Doing that won't do a thing to help either one of us, though. So, how are we gonna get out of this one? Any other time, we'd both just go about playing the part that works best for us. Simple as that. The reason we can't do that now is because a certain someone over here is misunderstanding things in the most boring-ass way possible.
らしくないぜマスター。霊体化して俺だけ助かってどうなる？マスターが殺されたら俺たちはそれで終わりなんだぜ。ならどう考えても足の遅いお荷物を足止めにしてあんたは任務達成するべきだろう。
私はあなたを荷物などと言った覚えはありませんが。
俺がそう思ってんの。何しろ本当に自分一人じゃ動けないからな。
I stick out my left leg to make a point. It was reduced to kibbles and bits by that giant ape when he charged us. That a fourth-rate heroic spirit like me managed to make it all the way here on my own power after that is pretty damn impressive if I do say so myself. Yep, the gutsy way ain't nothing to sneeze at.
ダメだ。それなら私も残ります。ここであのサーバントを倒す方を取る。私は一人では進まない。ここであなたを置き去りにすることはできない。
Determined but still doubtful. It's definitely not because of any deep feelings of affection. It was the same hand that once reached out to me in a gesture so severely mistaken.
それは同情から？
いえ、同情なんてしていません。ただその傷には私にも責任がある。だから置き去りにするぐらいなら私はその責任を取ろうと。
それは違う。いいかマスター。あんたは今 自分の目的を果たすためではなく、俺を助けるためにここに残ると言った。それはまあ俺からしてみれば悪いことじゃない。助けてもらえるんなら助けてもらいたい。けどさ、その動機が負い目から来たものなら、それは置き去りよりたちが悪いことなんだ。
負い目ですって？
そう、同情とか憐憫とかそういうの。いいかい、人間のお嬢さん。絶望にいるものを救おうとするのなら、負の感情で動いてはいけないんだ。負は正でなければ打ち消せない。悲しみに陥ったものを悲しみで救い上げても癒されないものがあるんだよ。あれだな。救った後のデイケアまで受け持つってんなら話は別だが、人間そこまで暇なやつは稀だからな。やっぱり助けるんなら、どっちにとっても得になる理由じゃないと損ってことだ。
Wicked laughter. In the distance, I hear the monsters howl. Bazette stares fixedly at me, her blank face.
わかりづらかった？なら例えばの話をしよう。ある場所に世界で一番不幸な目に遭っているやつがいるとする。ある日、あんたはそいつのことをニュースで知って落ち込んじまうんだが、それは意味のない干渉なんだ。遠い世界の話には関われない。自分には関わりのないところで誰かに不幸な出来事が起きたとしても、あんたは笑っていろ。
That's right. To try to save someone who doesn't exist in your own world would mean to deny the world of yours. That's the logic this world operates on, something that doesn't even bear mentioning. Unrelated humans, unobjecting humans, affirm every misfortune and sorrow by that alone. That inequality cannot be overthrown, so why not just accept the happiness that's built on someone else's sacrifice? Even if it's truly ugly and a wretched life, if you're among the blessed, all you can do is smile and accept that's just how it is. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. Live out your whole life opposite that contradiction and that ugliness. That's what a proper human should do. A human can't save anyone except himself. Saving another person solely for that other person's sake is no better than an excuse worthy of death. Such lip service can't save anyone. But, if even then you still believe you can save another, if you're still chirping stuff like, I want to save another.
そうだ。それでも何かをしたいというのなら、せめて笑いながら救いに行け。見捨てられないから残るとか、かわいそうだから戻るとか、そういうのは余計なお世話だ。一緒に苦楽を共にしようなんてもういなくなっていうことでさ。
All she needs to share with me is the joy. Coming to save me by bringing me sorrow would be nothing but a pain in the ass. What I want is no questions asked fairy tale ending. Peace and love to exceed even the days of nothing but loss. That's right. For example, like dark and sunken eyes. Seeing a bright and shining future in an outstretched hand.
アベンジャー、あなたは？
いや、脱線しちまったな。ズバッと言うと、さっさと行けってこと？どうせ死んでもまた顔を合わせるんだ。同情で死なれたら気まずいじゃねえか。ほら、アインツベルンのマスターに話があるんだろ。さっさと要件を済ませてこいよ。俺は先に戻ってるから。
The storm's coming closer. We'd better end our little chat post-haste before he shows up.
なんだ？まだ何か言わないとダメか？
いいえ、十分です。私のために敵の足止めをお願いします、アベンジャー。
はいよ。じゃ、ちょっくら気合い入れて出迎えるわ。あんたは裏から出ていけよ。
Waving my hand to Bazette, I venture outside. Once she's made up her mind about something, she won't waste a moment's effort on anything unnecessary. She's already forgotten all about me and is running at full throttle straight out to the castle by now. The Einzbern servant will be here any minute. I pull Bazette's glove that I picked up off the ground onto my right hand. It's pretty much useless as a glove after Fragrak reduced it to cinders, but what the hell, it might at least make for a good luck charm.
さて今度こそ真っ二つか。だから来たくないって言ったのにな。くそ。
The weakest under attack by the strongest, this is. There are way too many matchups like this in the Holy Grail War thing, god damn it. In the end, I left him behind. I allowed him to remain there, in a place where he was certain to be killed and race into the forest alone. I feel no debt towards him. As he said, this was a natural choice. A familiar should be played like a pawn, sacrificed to protect his king. Using one's servant as a shield to prolong your own life is a matter of course. If I'm going to feel indebted to him, it should only be if I fail to reach the castle. Should I fail to live up to that chance of victory he's given me through his servant's devotion, then and only then. I've already grown accustomed to this, and I do understand. Furthermore, even if Avenger were to die, he'll return to life again. Even if he's killed out here, he'll be returned to the first night again. Nothing to lose, and nothing to regret. Just as before, I, as a Magus of the Association, shall conduct myself in a manner befitting my reputation as a first-rate agent. And yet, I feel more pain than usual. These feelings of sentimentality, which I felt once before, now seem to grate against my heart as I grit my teeth in discomfort. In an irritation towards both him and myself, I find myself indiscriminately destroying everything in my path. The darkness of the night, the multitude of trees, and even the castle now visible beyond the forest, it feels like I try to shoot them down if I relax my grasp of myself even for a moment. However, it's not those voiceless objects that I want to destroy the most, but...
そうか。私も。
have left him behind. All of a sudden, I find myself wanting to apologize to all those unknown things. Even if it was the natural choice. Even if he told me to do so himself. The way I treated him was worse than any hatred or betrayal. The castle gates stand wide open. Without a moment's pause, I hurry inside. I may have left that monster far behind me, but in all likelihood, I still have no more than 5 minutes to spare. I must locate the Einzbern master and force their surrender right away. Which is why I need to calm down and gather my wits. My goal isn't to do away with the master, but to have a few uncertain points clarified. I must ask the master of the Einzberns, the family acting as a cornerstone of the Holy Grail War, and said to know more about heroic spirits than any other, about the mystery of these 4 days. I stormed the entrance to the castle foyer. They should have known we were here the moment we engaged that monster in combat. No need for stealth now.
近い。2階、正面。
As I run towards the staircase, I put on a spare pair of leather gloves. I'm in the thick of enemy territory now. It wouldn't be strange to find a blade at my neck at any moment, and a strike could come from any direction. An anachronistic long-handled weapon comes swinging down towards me. A halberd. Dodging that deadly ancient weapon, the style of which was beginning to fall out of favor even among the knights of the Holy Church, I jumped back out of the way.
侵入者イリアをいじめに来たのなら帰れ
A voice free of emotion, wielding a weapon that must weigh in excess of 40 kilos as though it were lighter than a feather. No, the awkwardness in her moves as if she doesn't feel the weight at all. There's no room for doubt. This must be one of the finely honed battle usage synthetic humans of the Einzberns, a homunculus.
帰らないなら仕方ない
Perhaps picking up on my own readiness for battle, the homunculus raised her halberd into the air. There's no time to try and gauge her ability. I have to take her down with my first strike. This is the second time I've faced off against an Einzbern-made homunculus, and a formidable opponent though she may be, I also know her limits. A flurry of attacks and defensive counters leaves us still facing off against one another. Her strikes with the halberd are like those of a child in a play sword fight. She has nothing to depend on but brute strength. But in addition to that, her raw power is so otherworldly as to be superhuman, transforming her into a force of nature in battle. But not on the level of the monster out there. One blow from this homunculus would be more than enough to fatally wound me. A direct hit would likely shatter every bone in my body.